ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability, and they keep changing their name. They're also known as PEI or PEI, so there are different names that ICLEI is going under. I do have a website under construction. The old website I had is no longer associated with me, but it is taking me quite a while to get my new website up, so please be patient with that. My mission and passion includes research, accuracy, truth, and education. A huge part of that is also action. I believe I have the information, I want to share it with you, and then I want to do something about it. So I encourage anybody to get involved who is interested in making positive changes. I began investigating this organization when the city of Fort Collins tried to take control of 2 privately owned trash companies. The way they did that was two steps. The first was through an ordinance which required these private businesses to reveal their operating plans. That included proprietary financial information and customer information. The second way they tried to do this was by taking 6,600 customers from these 2 businesses and forcing them into a city-run study. So these customers would have been forced to pay the city for their trash services and would no longer have a choice. So who knows about ICLEI? Most people have never heard of ICLEI. Most of the elected officials don't know about it, and when you start to talk about it, they're shocked that it's in their community. I have been meeting with candidates for the past 9 months to let them know about the organization and to fill them in on who is actually running their local community. ICLEI's mission includes transforming local government, equalizing income worldwide, controlling population, restricting capitalism and consumerism, and eliminating market economies. And as we go through this, we'll see how they do that very effectively.
Is that stated somewhere, or is it just what you've determined?
It is stated. It's in their charter and their principles, their operating principles. So, and you can see that charter online. If you just search for ICLEI's charter, you can read it for yourself. The main way they transform local governments is by pressuring council members, mayors, city managers to adopt these foreign policies. Once you join ICLEI, the authority of elected officials are removed, and that power is given to city employees through climate action plans and long-term sustainability plans. So the people that you're electing into office believe that they are actually in control and are representing you. However, it's city employees and county employees who are running the show. So everybody's heard about the horrible increase in global warming, climate change, rising temperatures, glaciers, hurricanes, fires, droughts, tornadoes, earthquakes, flooding.
It's in Revelation. Yeah.
Islands are disappearing. That's what we hear on a daily basis. And that is one tool that environmentalists are using to scare us into changing our economy, into changing the way the United States is operating. So let's talk about the money. How is ICLEI so successful? So once a local government joins ICLEI with taxpayer money, a lot of that taxpayer money then goes to salaries for city employees who are adopting and implementing ICLEI's programs. Local businesses who also are ICLEI members or who are green businesses will come to the city government and ask them for taxpayer money to increase their businesses. So salaries are paid with tax dollars to implement these programs. And a lot of times elected officials, again, they don't know about ICLEI particularly, but the ones who do are using national PAC money to get elected. So the progressive majority is one of the most powerful national PACs that is helping people locally get elected so that they can further these sustainability goals.
Progressive majority, is that something specific? Is it a group?
The progressive majority is a political action committee on the national level. They're very powerful.
I don't think I've heard that.
So at the local level, you join ICLEI, then that makes you eligible for state taxpayer money for sustainability programs, and then that shows your commitment on a federal level. So then that opens you up to access to stimulus money and recovery money. ICLEI is funded at the local level through taxpayer money, at the state level and national levels, and also private foundations and businesses are funding ICLEI. And I'd like to list the specific examples. That will give you the option whether you want to continue to shop at these businesses. Home Depot and Office Depot are two major funders of ICLEI. Then we have private foundations like the Kresge Foundation, the Orton Family Foundation. Those foundations have billions of dollars that they are funneling into sustainability and green programs, which ICLEI is using.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is Kresge Foundation still associated with Kmart?
I believe they are.
At the one time it was the SS Kresge and formed Kmart.
Yes. So once you start tracing these foundations, you can link them to many different businesses, and it becomes quite difficult to shop at a business that's not associated with these sustainability programs on a foreign level. So your local commitment, you join ICLEI, that like I said, gives you access to federal money, the ARRA money and the EECBG money that's coming from President Obama's administration is funding these ICLEI programs at a local level. So in the middle of this slide, the orange or the red square there is ICLEI, and this just shows you all of the organizations on the outside are giving money to ICLEI. We have the taxpayer at the top, private foundations, Office Depot, Home Depot, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund is another major funder. And then Clarion Associates is a private consulting firm that ICLEI uses nationwide. We have an office in Fort Collins, and Clarion Associates comes into a town and offers to help your local community transform your long-term city plans or county plans. They get paid millions of dollars to do this across the United States. We also have the United States Environmental Protection Agency that is a partner with ICLEI. And remember, ICLEI is a foreign non-governmental organization, so we have a direct association between a foreign organization and the United States government. Here's just a specific example. Golden, Colorado is not listed as an ICLEI member. However, they're using ICLEI programs, ICLEI foundations, for example, the city of Golden got $1 million from the Orton Family Foundation. That money was earmarked specifically to be used to remodel a building for a green, that qualifies for a green building or a LEED certified building. Here's our first example of ICLEI in Fort Collins, and even though most of these photos are from Fort Collins, regardless of the city, most towns are pursuing these same goals. So this is a bicycle rack in a parking space in downtown Fort Collins.
And people are hitting them. That's why they got those things out in front there. I can tell you from first-hand experience.
Safety.
Yeah.
So if
It's like a tank trap.
If you have not seen this program before, take a guess about how much that one parking space is worth to those surrounding businesses.
Yep.
How much do you think that is worth per year to the surrounding businesses, that one vehicle parking space? $100,000? $300,000 for one parking space is the value to surrounding businesses. So Fort Collins has taken out 6 parking spaces downtown for bicycle racks. That's $1.8 million that local businesses are losing. And the city of Fort Collins is also losing that sales tax revenue. So this bicycle rack was placed on the street because a private company, New Belgium Brewery, went to the city, and coincidentally, New Belgium Brewery travels around the world presenting workshops at ICLEI conventions. So New Belgium Brewery goes to the city of Fort Collins and says, hey, if you'll let us put this bike rack on the street, we'll build this for you and give it to you for free. The city said yes.
Trojan horse is what it was.
Excuse me?
Trojan horse.
Yes. The city says, we'll do it. Then New Belgium has now free prime advertising in downtown Fort Collins. It was not open for bids for other companies to do this. Fire, police, other government organizations that would have an interest in these on-street racks were not notified. We woke up one morning and the racks were in the spaces. They are causing trouble for larger trucks because they can't turn the corners now. It's a safety hazard for the bicycle riders because it's it actually protrudes into the driving lane, so the safety risks have increased.
If you have a car parked in front of it and you can't see it, you'll come in and you'll think that it's an open lane. You'll have people turning into it and crashing.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see what the stats are on that, because I'm a cop in Fort Collins. And, you know, I've seen problems. I'd like to know what, you know, if there's a little check in the box for, you know, caused by bike rack.
Yes. So how does ICLEI happen? Your city or local government joins, and once they do that, the ICLEI will bring you a climate action plan or a long-term sustainability plan. ICLEI and city employees then start implementing that plan. The council most times does not know that this plan has been part of their city because it's put on a consent agenda. And the consent agenda, if you're not familiar with it, is that part of the council agenda that is passed automatically. It's not discussed. It's just automatically becomes a part of your city government. Then we have local lobbying groups. That includes the Sierra Club, the Nature Conservancy, the Natural Resources Defense Council, and locally we have Save the Pooter. And then we have private business partnerships who are taking advantage of the green movement.
Save the pooter by damming it?
Yes. So what happens when ICLEI comes to town? Public-private partnerships are a big problem. The reason they're focusing so much on that is because when you have a private company coming to the government for asking for money for their business, then the government automatically has control over what you're doing with your business. You've taken the money, and now the government gets to tell you what to do with your private company. This also is a huge way to breed corruption. What's happening in Fort Collins is we have a few select private companies who constantly come to city council and ask for money to grow their business. And because they're green and sustainable, city council most of the time gives them that money. So we have to do a global warming reality check. This is, ICLEI is all based on global warming and climate change. That is what they are using to transform the way our United States is operating.
And might I be specific? Man-made global warming and climate change.
That's right. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
It's critical.
That's specifically our fault.
Yes, and it's not only humankind, it's the United States humans that are the main target.
Yeah, you're right, you're more specific. Yeah.
So CO2, carbon dioxide, is the #1 target for environmentalists. The main source of CO2, of course, is burning fossil fuels, and this is why ICLEI and their associates are focusing so much on eliminating personal vehicle ownership and use. So what happens when you triple CO2? It's interesting, you actually get a 64% yield increase in rice, wheat, barley, and oats. So if we had more CO2, we would actually be able to feed ourselves and our animals that we eat in a much easier way. So 38 thousandths of 1% is the total carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere. 38 thousandths of 1%, that's the total amount. And if you can see that football field chart over there, that is showing you what's making up the gases in Earth's atmosphere. And you actually have a copy of that in your packet. So if you want to look at that closer later, you feel free to do that. So the little red circle on the right bottom corner of that chart is CO2. 114 100,000ths of 1% is the total amount of CO2 that human beings are putting into the atmosphere. That is the equivalent. If you picture a 100-yard football field, out of that entire 100 yards, if you stood a dime on its edge, that's the total amount of CO2 emissions that human beings are